Welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss mystical works of literature and how they relate to recovery. We hope you enjoy today's podcast episode.
Hello, this is Buddy C. Welcome to the Tao of Understanding Recovery Podcast. Today we have Kate and Libby and Brian and Drew and Lou and Oscar. Good to have you guys and gals. In this podcast, we talk about how Taoist principles and Taoist writings, almost all of which, other than a Zen quote occasionally, are way into BC territory, 200 to 400 BC, or so we think. And today is going to be even more applicable. Right now, we're going through the steps and how the steps are seen in the Tao Te Ching mostly, but other Taoist texts as well. But before we get into our conversation today, talk about two things. One, a resource at buddyc.org, and then a synchronistic moment. So the resource I want to talk about today, it's at BuddyC, but you can access it at sobermeditations.org. I know a lot of people use the meditations and download those. We recently made a change from the app. So if you have the app in your phone or you find Sober Meditations app at either the Google Store for Play for Android or the Apple Store, you may be able to download it, but you cannot download more meditations. The ones you have may still work in the app, so I haven't deleted it because people can still use the app to a point. But you can access all of those at sobermeditations.org. That's the whole playlist. The synchronistic moment I want to talk about today. One thing we see in Taoists as we study these writings, we see a lot of letting go. We see a lot of stepping out of the way and just noticing what life is doing. So we start to notice, or at least I did, all the ways that things seem to just line up that I had no idea that was happening behind the scenes. But we start seeing those, and sometimes they're noticeable. And I'm of the opinion that I only notice them when that's a must, that the real reality, the best would be me not notice and it just happened. But if I'm starting to get out of kilter, sometimes I'll see that. And we're talking about step 2 today and how step 2 is seen. And I went to a big book study Thursday night, and I'm making somewhat of an effort to go. I need to go every week. I haven't been. I went this week, and I opened my big book up to the steps when we were reading the steps. We weren't there in the readings yet. And I saw at the top of the page a note. I write all over my books. Moving from knowing to being. Tao Te Ching, 14th verse, step 2. I said, oh, okay, good. I need that. Thank you. So that's on my list of things today. I have no other quotes here about from the Tao at all from any other step. And occasionally open up and use this. Not that often. We're reading other texts and things, and I'll reference, but I haven't noticed that in a long time. And I said, oh, okay, good. I can use that. So that's one of my main ones is the 14th. But anyway, that's how life seems to line up if I'll let it. If I'll let it. Would anyone like to open us up with a verse or quote? Oh, let's talk about the second step first. And I'd like to hear from you guys some. My thoughts on what the second step is and how it works changes. And maybe by this time next year, it may have changed again. But where it's settled at least in recent history, the step says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Still plural, just like the first step, we admitted, we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For me, I see the second step I see the first step as saying, notice how unmanageable your life is. Look outward, look at all these things, see how unmanageable. And the second step says, now let's look inside. It's talking about being restored to sanity. Talk about sanity in the second verse, second step, and unmanageability in the first. So for me, that's a flip. Okay, now we're going to see not only is your life unmanageable out here, it's unmanageable inside too. And it's that we came to believe, not that we really took any action other than believing. And what are we believing? We're believing we can be restored. Restored to what? I didn't know I was ever sane. Didn't seem like it at the time. For me, it's the restoration is being restored to that childlike dependence that I had lost when I thought it was up to me to make all these things happen. And I started collecting all these fears that I was afraid I wouldn't get something I was demanding or I'd lose something that I had. And that caused more and more of the insanity to come along. I've heard it described that the insanity is thinking I can run my life. That lines up too. You guys chime in whenever. I'd love to hear y'all's take on the second step.
I can say something.
Thanks.
The second step, I think at first, when I looked at the second step, I thought about just insanity, and the insanity in my life was pretty obvious. And sanity, and what would sanity look like if it was the opposite of these insane things? And I wasn't really thinking about like how that would happen. But then once I understood the step more, the most important part for me was that believing that restoration to sanity could happen through a higher power. And that was a hard sell for me. Like it was hard for me to believe that a higher power could restore me to sanity, or that a higher power was there and would not even want to, because that's not how it really works in my mind, but that it was a possibility. So it's something that has over time has made more and more sense to me, though obviously I can't explain it.
Good try, though, Kate. Good try.
Yeah.
It's interesting there. It says a power greater than ourselves, not necessarily God. When I first looked at the step, I thought it's I can't believe God could fix me. Pretty much. Drew?
Yeah, I thought it was coincidental. The last thing Kate said was she's having trouble explaining it. And the chapter that I had opened and was looking at was the one that has the line, those who know don't talk and those who talk don't know. That I think those two really tie in together. It's not really something that's easy to explain. You just let your actions do your talking. And this same chapter, I think, ties into step 2 as far as like how to put it into practice, how to return to the source.
Why don't you go ahead and read it?
Yeah. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. It can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That's why it endures. So that chapter is, to me, all about the Wu Wei principle of not trying. It also ties into the quote that we use in here a lot of, in the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. You're closing your mouth. You're not talking just to talk. You're not seeking out distractions. You're not seeking out pretty things. You're not trying to be too clever. You're not trying to avoid harm or get benefits. You're not trying to get honor or avoid being disgraced. You're giving yourself up continually. And with step two, the first image that I thought of related to the Tao was the image that's used in the Tao Te Ching a lot, which is letting the dust in the water settle. I feel like that's an appropriate image for step two, is you're just calming your mind, letting your dust settle, and instead of stirring and roiling things up, just sitting and being with your higher power, being with the Tao.
So returning to stillness.
Yes, yeah. That's like the theme of half the chapters, in the Tao Te Ching.
Which chapter did you just read?
56.
56, okay.
And then that line, in the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. That's 48.
Okay. Thank you. This was my interpretation of the second step in the book. What we resist persists. When we stop resisting, we begin to find strength not our own. We see surrender working in the lives of others, which gives us hope that it will work for us too. I came to believe by seeing it work in other people's lives. I couldn't see that if I didn't go to a meeting, though. I asked somebody struggling, when's the last time? I don't really go to meetings. I'm like, okay. Sometimes we have to do what we don't want to do. We got to go where an old timer used to say he came to meetings to get his medicine. You got to go where the medicine is. If you're sick, you go to the doctor. If you want to quit drinking, try out a meeting, see if it doesn't help. Because only when I went to a meeting did I get hope that I could get sober, because I thought it was useless, because I had tried. Didn't realize my trying was getting in the way. I had to surrender. Brian?
I was just thinking about a conversation I had with a guy the other day, that this guy knows the big book and he knows the solution, but he just won't go to meetings. And he called me, and once again, he's in the dumpster and it's on fire. And he kept saying, I need somebody to check in with. And matter of fact, I need to inventory this stuff. And if I could call you back this afternoon and talk to you about it. And I said, sure, but how many meetings are you going to? And it's like, hello.
Crickets.
It's hard to see.
What I heard was you back off until you lose your peace, and then you take one meeting more than that. Or that's how I think anyway. For me at the moment, it's a meeting a week. But used to, when I first came in, it was a meeting every day. It just depends on you and what you need personally. Some people get sober outside of AA, and it's okay. If they're looking at AA as a way of life or a way to get sober, then meetings are an essential part. For me, it is anyway. Oscar?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I do also one meeting a day. I also used every day. So, yeah, another way of life, indeed. And I was thinking about second step. For me, the first step is setting down the problem. So there's the problem. I'm in the ability of my life because I use drugs and I use alcohol and I have this strange behaviors which I don't want to. And then when I stop using, there comes a moment that I go crazy in my mind, and then I need to use. I have this obsession to use, and then I'm going to use. And it can be in a whimper. And this is insanity, because I know what is going to happen after I start using again. I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to destroy my family, all ties with my families, with my people I love, with my work. I will destroy everything. So this is insanity, because I know on forehand that this is what's going to happen. So then the second step brings me back. Okay, it's possible to restore this sanity, but you can't do it yourself because you are the problem. So you have to give this away. We're going to leave that for step 3, but first we have to start believing that there is a power created in ourselves that can restore this sanity. And then when I reflect this on Ching, I see in verse 37, should a halfway it is. Should a doubt or old desire rise up, this is what happens. Like, for instance, this is my mental obsession. A doubt or an old desire is, I'm going to have a drink. Maybe I can have a drink. Maybe I can use one more time. Maybe I'm not really addicted. These are doubts and old desires, they rise up. Then the nameless simplicity would push it down. The nameless simplicity frees the heart of desire and reveals its inner silence. When there is silence, one finds peace. When there is silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within himself, which is God, or the Tao, or a higher power. So for me, those two came really very nice together.
What translation was that, Oscar?
Jonathan Starr, thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. When there's silence, one finds peace. When there's silence, one finds the anchor of the universe within himself.
Yeah, and it starts with the mental obsession starting, like when an old desire comes up or a doubt rises, which will always happen again and again in my life. The first thought, I can't stop the first thought. But then when I'm not living in the will of a higher power, I will be lost because this first thought will bring the second thought, and then I start working, and then it will be an obsession. And before I know, I am drinking or taking dope. The only way to get out of this, in my experience, is with the letting go of Oscar and letting a higher power do its thing as good as I can allow in the moment. But Oscar has to step aside for a higher power to come through me or something like that.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. That's good. The insanity really is me thinking, I can run my life. I don't need to surrender. This is not satisfying enough for me. I need to take matters in my own hands. Always an issue. And it's always linked to my spiritual fitness. Brian?
I was just thinking, for me, it starts when I think I know. I ain't even taken any action yet, but I get that switch in my head of, oh, I know what the solution is for this. And then I want to double down.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
For me, it's like on my own. I can handle it on my own. And
That's
I
right.
do not have to consult with anyone about it. I get in my mind like, no, it's no big deal because I got this and I don't even have to run it past anyone.
Yeah.
No one. Because they're totally going to agree that I got this. So there's no point anyway in even talking to them about it.
Yeah.
That's
You
when I
got
go
a-
really
you-
wrong.
You got a circling the drain from Brian.
We need an emoji, floating toilet emoji.
I'll get Chad on that. I'm sure Chad will be helpful with that one. Let's hope. I was just thinking about the second step. For me, the power greater, since we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, I'm restored when I surrender. So for me, everything is greater than me. It's all greater.
There's a line in verse 77 that reminds me of what especially Brian and Kate were just talking about. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. So it's the idea that I just haven't rolled my sleeves up far enough. I haven't pounded hard enough. I haven't pulled that rope hard enough. I just need to use more force. I just need to exert more control.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Drew. Ever how we understand it, as long as it works, so be it. It's not about the understanding, it's about it working. There's not a right or wrong with these things.
And then that next line, I've never really thought about in terms of sobriety, but I think it fits. They, and when it says they, it's talking about the people who try to control, who use force. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. And I'm thinking about when I was deep in my addiction, what I was taking from the people who I was taking from, and what I was taking from them was my time and care and attention and love. And I was giving it to entities who have far too much to begin with, whether that's companies or corporations or social media or TV. I was spending my time and attention on things that don't care about my time and attention. And I wasn't giving my time and attention to the people who do care about my time and attention.
Thank you, Drew. I want to read verse 14. It can't be seen, listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable. It returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all form. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there's no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. How can I realize where I come from? That, to me, that speaks of gratitude. If I'm trying to take control again in an area, when I notice it, can I just take a moment, be grateful for that situation as it is, and maybe I can return again to the stillness that comes when I let go and stop fighting whatever that is. Now, just because I look at the power greater than myself, maybe as being everything, I could have a God belief that's different from that. And I'm not saying there is no God, but I am saying that our ideas of things, I think, change and they evolve. And I do believe that when we pass, that we're going to be very surprised.
I really like that verse that you just read, buddy. Can I talk on it for a second?
Of course.
It really makes me feel like there's the power greater than ourselves, but it's also like I'm part of it. There's everything. There's the Tao, and I'm in it. I'm in the Tao. There's everything, and I'm part of it. So, I can go with it or against it, and that makes sense with our flowing with things. But it's also comforting because I am part of this big, great, wonderful, beautiful thing. It gives me worth, feeling of worth because I'm part of it. I don't know. I was just really feeling that strongly when you read that.
So we can't know it, but we can be it at ease. It's not be it if we try real hard. The result is we're at ease. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. That's surrender to what is, right? That's verse 23. Trust your natural responses. We have to be at a point of surrender before I could even know what my natural response was. This is verse 64. The master takes action by letting things take their course. The action is not action, right? If we're in a situation, the question could be, okay, how can I found in negotiating, the first thing I had to do was get on the side of the person I'm negotiating with, that we're both negotiating against whatever it is that's going on. It's not me against them. It's okay. Now let's me and you figure out how to work this out, whatever it was. Okay. Got this house that you need to sell. Let's figure out how to do it. And then that broke any animosity that was there, and we could work together on it. It wouldn't be me against them. It would be let's work together on what we can do. Granted, we're still negotiating and all of that, but you get this sense of you've stopped the fight, even though you might be negotiating. You're not fighting you're not resisting. You're looking for a solution. And it was hardly ever the money that they needed. It was a U-Haul to Idaho, or it was pay off this credit card, or it'd be all kinds of things. But once you got down to what they really need, it's okay, can I do that? And then once we worked that out, the rest of it took care of itself, letting things take their course. Not the master doesn't take action to let things take his or her course. No, not that. But what did the master find eventually? That the course it was taken was their course, whatever how it turned out. This is verse 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It's like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave it birth. It is older than God. This is verse 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. Does it really say that? Yeah. Okay. That was Stephen Mitchell. Derek Lynn says it flows continuously, barely perceptible. Utilize it. It is never exhausted. It's like a vapor, barely seen, but always present. Use it effortlessly. Hogan said everybody has Tao in them. They just have to use it. When we become empty, that's the restoration, I think. And here it says, and it talks about that, empty yet inexhaustible. Problem was, I wanted to stop drinking, but I wasn't empty of myself. I was still thinking I could figure this out some way, or I could pray and God could help me figure it out. It wasn't me letting go. It was just trying to get more help until I set that aside and through the steps allowed some emptiness of my fear, of my ego. Some, it's not gone, but even with a little bit, I was able to stay sober. I just got a taste of that emptiness. I'm like, this is where life is, in the emptiness. That's what's inexhaustible, not my thinking. And that's step 2, I think, is realizing that I have to return to that emptiness, that stillness. Stop the fight, stop the resisting. Libby?
Now, what you're saying there, we have to be empty. I had a lot of trouble with that twice since in the last week. I got so full of things that were going wrong or feeling like I needed to control them or other people giving me input that I needed to control things. And when I reflected on it and prayed about it, really what happened is I lost step 2. And I lost step 2 because there was no room for a higher power. And there's a poem that reminds me of me when I do this and forget that there's a higher power that should be running it and just default to whatever my original personality was before I got involved with the 12 steps. And it's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters by Portia Nelson. 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. 2, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. 4, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. 5, I walk down another street. So that's my plan, walking down another street this week.
Yes. Thank you, Libby. We have a friend in the meeting, one of my meetings, that he quotes that pretty often. I like that one.
Yeah, it speaks to some of us who make the same mistakes over and over.
I think the story I heard was that she was at a Wayne Dyer event and wrote it down and gave it to him. And that's how she got started with that.
Wow.
It's what is a story that's told with it over when I hear it. He tells that part of it with it some. So maybe that's the case. Who knows? But it sounds good. I think I'll believe it. It sounds good.
Right.
Thank you, Larry. This is verse 11. 30 spokes are joined together in a wheel, but it's the center hole that allows the wheel its function. We mold clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that makes the vessel useful. We fashion wood into a house, but it's the emptiness inside that makes it livable. We work with the substantial, but the emptiness is what we use. So what's blocking our restoration? What's blocking us from restoring our sanity to returning to emptiness?
Self-will, ego.
All that stuff, the rest of the steps you help us to get rid of, really.
Cotton in our ears.
Yeah. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I was reminded of that by my first sponsor.
There's always some zingers.
Oh, man. Won't you speak in a meeting? You got two ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I'll tell you when you can talk. They don't need anything that you have. That's exactly what he said. And I thought, who the F is this guy talking to me this way? Yeah. But I was suffering so bad, I didn't care. I was like, okay. And this restoration, this return to emptiness is something that goes on the rest of my life. Life is a daily practice. Emptiness is a daily practice. And I don't have to do it perfect to find relief. That's a great thing. It's almost as if the first action, really, my first action toward emptiness, my first letting go, my first surrender, my first stepping out of the way, I find some peace at that moment that it starts. Somebody brought out once that, when Bill Wilson got in touch with Dr. Bob at the Mayflower Hotel in Akron, Ohio, that was on Saturday night. They didn't meet till Sunday afternoon. He stayed sober on the fact that they were going to meet for a whole day, almost. It's that intention gets us started. I've always found relief immediately. I don't earn it. It just comes about when I start moving in that direction. And this is in every situation, in everything. Can I bring sanity into this interaction or this relationship? I've had insane relationships. I've had insane business. I've had all these things. I remember there was something I was having a business interact. This has been years ago. And I was yelling at the guy and didn't even realize I was doing it. Had no idea I was doing it. It had just dropped off the cliff without me even knowing. I was already there. No sanity in that whatsoever.
I feel like nowadays, now that I'm more connected with the Tao and connected with the world around me and my recovery, I can tell when I am behaving in a way that's insane much faster than I used to be able to. Because you probably couldn't tell that you were yelling at somebody. And that you probably didn't think, wow, that was insane how I was speaking to that person.
Hey, what I did was I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in my Jeep and there's a lot of background noise. I recovered real quick.
You didn't think, wow, that was insane behavior.
Yeah.
But now, if I do like snap off on somebody, or even if I'm just thinking like very angry thoughts, or thoughts that are just insane thoughts, I should keep this secret, I should hide that from them, recognize them now. And much more easily than I used to be able to.
Buddy, I had a situation this week with something went on at work, and long story short, I had some stuff coming in by FedEx, and I track it and I see it's been sitting over there since 1:00 in the morning. And I thought, they're not going to deliver it today. And then I find myself about every 5 minutes hitting the refresh on my phone. And then I start saying, they need to be doing this differently. And I realized, I was like, Brian, you have got to let go of this. Full disclosure, I probably refreshed another 20 times over the day, but I let go of it. And of course, to make matters worse, I'm off work the next day. Brandy and I are coming across Memphis heading south. The parts show up. And so I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to stop by, pick these parts up, and I'm going to drop them off at this customer who's a little further south on our way home. And I literally said that to her. And about 10 seconds later, I get a call from my customer. And they said, we were just going to check on these parts. And I said, well, I'm actually headed your way with them. Oh, that's great. That's great. And I was just like, man, isn't it funny how these things work out? In my mind, it was like, they're keeping me from my last dollar. I'm going to be off tomorrow. Self-will, just control. I even had a random thought I was going to go to the FedEx hub and like demand that you need to go out and dig this thing out of a damn trailer. I was able to let go of it, but it took some space for a while.
As we start seeing those things, Brian, they seem to take less space and less space. It's really a practice, right?
Yeah. And like I said, this lady calls from this customer and she's not upset. She's just as happy as can be that, hey, I'm headed your way. She's like, oh, great. You guys should have seen me yesterday. I need this stuff every day. I got to use it every day.
Me too.
What's that quote about? I can't stay clean today on yesterday's shower.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Anything else on step 2? I think it's been a good conversation today.
Buddy, when we're thinking about step 2, and every time we talk to anyone about it at a meeting or everywhere else, it always seems like step 2 is a little different for everybody. Nobody has the exact same take on it. I don't know about the other people and how insanity has played out in their lives, but myself, it seems like you're saying you can't stay clean today on yesterday's shower. Step 2 is the one I lose all the time. Like I can't stay in it on yesterday's paying attention to it. Whether I'm looking at the literature, I'm praying, I'm talking to someone, I'm at a meeting, I have to like really put it there because when I first visited a 12-step meeting and then later started trying to do these steps, that one seemed easy to me because I actually was already a person who believed in God. And like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people, when we see that, that's what they think of, higher power, it's God. But in reality, there are a lot of higher powers that are more powerful than me. And in different situations, like sometimes an individual person seems more powerful than me. And if I haven't been quiet and empty and looking for that to happen, the right person won't be making the action here. I will be in the middle and messing with it. And I have a really loud voice, which is dangerous. One of the parts of the Tao that speaks to me of step 2 is just the second chapter. And it's really interesting to me, the 4 translations that are on the website here are a little bit different. This is the Round Hogan translation. Tao is an eternal mystery, and everything starts with Tao. Everybody has Tao in them. They just have to use it. And then the last paragraph in the McDonald says, it is like a vapor, barely seen but always present. Use it effortlessly. And that one speaks to me because it's right. If you're not looking for it, you can't see it. If you're looking at what you're trying to do, like I'm going to solve this thing and I'm going to make this happen, you can't see it. It takes that pause, that backing up, that making room for emptiness, like the passage you read from. The value of a jug is in the fact that it's empty. And if there isn't room, the Tao doesn't happen. And then in the Stephen Mitchell, it says about the Tao, it's always present within you. You can use it any way you want. And maybe there could be a footnote. You cannot use it any way you want.
If you're living by your empty nature, it's okay. But there's a lot of ways I could want to use it that wouldn't be good. I'm with you, Libby.
And my favorite one, at least today, is the Fang. I don't know how to say
Gai Fu Fang.
Gai Fu, sorry. Anyway, the very last line in chapter 6 is saying, use it. It will never fail. Take the step 2 and go from there. It's a launching place to get to a sane and serene and united with the other people day/life. But if you neglect it, turn the other way, you're very stuck. This is such an important step.
That's how we access the inexhaustibility.
Right. Yeah. It's always there. And it can't renew unless you pay attention to. It's thin vapor.
You brought up a really good point too, Libby, that everything, for me, what's greater than myself? Pretty much everything. Because I can't control all those. I can't control you, so you're greater than me. All the other things that I try to control, they're all greater than me.
Buddy, it's kind of like the door to the rooms are always open. You can leave and go out and experiment, do R&D. The door's always going to be open. You just got to walk through it.
And that's so paradoxical too. How could emptiness help me? I thought it was the opposite I needed. I needed more knowledge. I needed more willpower. I needed more me. I have to step out of the way and allow and notice and stop resisting.
I had to get to the point where I realized I was the common denominator in all this. I'm seeing a pattern here.
Really? How long did that take you, Brian?
A while. Some of us were sicker than others.
Realize I've got the keys to the jail cell I've put myself into.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to get to a place where we're cooperating and dancing and flowing with the world, with the Tao, with life, and not where we're attacking and saying, it has to go this way, do it my way.
Anything else before we close? You guys have a great week and hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Hello, this is Buddy C. I wanted to make you aware of several recovery-related resources that I've posted in the episode description. These resources include a list of recovery podcasts, a free sober meditation app, daily recovery email, shared Google recovery calendars. Hope you put some of these resources to use and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends in recovery.